Hi everyone, so in this video we're going to make the Monet inspired flowers. First, to start, you need to write your name and flip on your piece of paper. You'll notice that we're working pretty large for this, and we're also using oil pastels. So depending on the color of your paper, pick a color that will work so that you can see it. So you're going to name and flip. First thing we need to do is we need to set up the outline of our flowers before we start adding our color and our paint to this. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna start with a vase. Now in your packet, you will see lots of examples of different types of vases that you could use for this. What you're gonna do is just pick one of them, and in the middle of your page, pretty big, probably 4 or 5 inches, you're gonna take the white oil pastel and you're gonna draw in that vase. Once your vase is in, you need to figure out what your vase is sitting on, and our vases are gonna be sitting on a table. To do this, you're gonna draw 2 straight lines. The first straight line is gonna go behind your vase about halfway up. And when I do this line is actually behind the vase. So what I did is I drew the line, picked up my oil pastel, and then continued on the other side. This gives the illusion that your vase is sitting on top of the table. To extend the table, we want to put it at a diagonal down towards the corner of the page, so something like that. Once you have your vase in, now we're going to start doing our flowers. We're going to do 1 big flower, 3 medium flowers, and 3 small flowers. So because we want our biggest flower to be the focus of our artwork, we're gonna put this big somewhere on the page where it looks nice. It would look nice here, here, or even down here. I'm gonna work in this corner just because I want to put my flowers around it. So using the drawing guide or your own imagination, you're just gonna start drawing a flower in. There's my big flower there. Once my big flower is in, I'm going to do 3 medium flowers and 3 small flowers. What I would recommend is changing up the flowers as you go. So for this one, I did a larger petal. For the next ones, I'll probably change up the size and the shape. Perfect, so I have my 3 medium in, my 3 small in. You can see how none of my flowers are overlapping so that you can see all the details of the flower. For the next part, we're gonna draw our stems in, going from the flowers inside of the vase. Now we wanna pretend that our vase is glass. So to give this illusion, I'm gonna just do like a little detail line to make it look like the bottom is a circle. And then our stems are gonna flow from the flowers right into the vase. So naturally, like a normal stem, they kind of curve and twist, but they're all going in through the top of the vase. If you do make a mistake on this part too, we're going to paint over most of this anyway, so don't sweat any small mistakes. I also have a little bit of underlapping here, so my stem for this flower went behind the petals of this flower. For painting and adding color to these flowers, we are going to be using the tempera paints. Please remember with the tempera paints that you are not mixing the colors in the palettes. If they do happen to mix on your paper, that is fine, but make sure that you clean out your brush whenever you change colors. I also have a paper towel nearby so that I can dry off my brush. First thing that you're going to paint is you're going to start to paint your stems. And what's nice about this style of painting is it can be very loose and very flowy. We're not trying to paint this perfect. We're just trying to get that color onto that page in the loose style that Monet does in his paintings as well. So I'm working really loosely, really flowy, and not trying to make it 100% perfect. Once I have my stems done, I'm going to start working on my flowers. Try to pick colors that look nice together, either warm colors, cool colors, any complementary colors. However, you kind of want to start working into those paints as well. Don't forget, you also can add our neutrals. So we do have brown, white, and black that I'm going to add into my petals and the stems of my flowers. So I'll let this part fast forward. You can see too, as I'm painting, is I'm really not using a lot of paint because I want the lines that I drew originally with the oil pastel to show through. So I really don't need a lot of paint on my brush. Making sure I'm cleaning my brush after I change colors. And since my red is still wet, I'm just gonna add some white right on top of it and let it mix on the paper. Perfect, so I have my flowers pretty much painted. Notice how loose I'm going. I'm not filling it up with solid color. I'm not doing thick solid color. I'm just doing really loose painting, keeping it really flowy. You also can see where I added those accent colors, the white and the black and the brown, on top of what I already painted and mixed it right in with that wet paint right on my flower. Next, to make my glass really look like it's glass, I'm gonna take a little bit of white and I'm gonna just paint a little bit of a loose outline around what I already did for my stems and the green. So I'm just going really loose, not painting solid, almost like a sketch type of painting to make that really look like the glass is reflecting. Okay, next we need to pick a color for our background. Same as before, you're gonna pick a color that works nicely with the colors that you already have. So you can do complementary, you can stay warm or cool, you can do neutrals, it's completely up to you. Also think about the color of your paper because some of that will be showing through, so pick a color that looks nice with that. For filling in this paint, you're also gonna work that loose type of painting style where you're just kind of fast painting in between. So I'm gonna pick blue for this part and just show you what that looks like. So I'm working kind of fast and definitely loose, kind of pushing that paint to fill the background. And notice how my outline is still showing through, my petals are still showing through, everything is still showing through, but I'm not doing thick, solid painted color. It's a really loose painter style. Perfect, so my painting of my background is complete. Notice how it's nice and loose. I do have some overlapping happening here. So I had some blue that went on top of my white oil pastel. Don't worry about that because we're gonna retrace our lines after our painting is done. So just leave that for right now. Next, let's work on the table. For the table, you get to paint a pattern, but you're going to use the background color as a part of your pattern. So what I mean by that is I'm going to do checkerboard for mine. If you want to do wavy, if you want to do zigzag, that's up to you. But you're just going to pick a color that looks nicely with the colors that you already have. And then you're going to start painting in that pattern, but not filling the table completely. For mine, I'm doing the checkerboard. So I'm going to just start laying in the colors of my checkerboard here. And notice how I'm still working really loose, but I'm also not going to completely fill this solid. I'm gonna leave the brown tan color of the paper to show through, so I'm not filling it completely. Perfect, so I did my checkerboard. I did add some of my neutral white in there to give it a little bit of a highlight on the table. Notice how you can still see the brown showing through. It's not completely solid. Now, before we can do the oil pastel, this needs to dry, so very carefully pick it up with 2 hands, carry it like a pizza over to the drying rack. Perfect, now that my painting is dry, we are gonna add our highlights and our shadows using the neutrals of our oil pastels. Now's your chance to really get those lines back if you lost them. So a highlight is anywhere where the light is shining on the flower or the object. So I'm just gonna re-put those back in there and add where I think there might be necessary. Next, I'm going to start adding black to add a little bit of shadows. So think of where your shadows may be. You might have them at the bottom of your vase, the bottom of your flower, and there may be some on your table. So I'm just adding some black lines in. Perfect, and now's your chance to add any other highlights, lowlights, or any other colors you may need within your vase. So if you do need a green to be added back into your vase, add it in now. And notice how I'm still working really loosely. I'm not filling the whole thing with solid color. I'm doing just a loose style, and I'm not trying to get anything perfect. Perfect, and I think this is just about complete. Once it is complete, you're gonna upload it to Art Sonia.